Welcome to another episode of A Wife's Guide to Life, Relationship and Marriage. My name is Diana and I own a platform called Better Topics where we regularly help hundreds of couples experience more love, joy and connection and also have a lot of fun. Before I move on with the video, I just wanted to take a minute to remind you about our Better Topics card game for couples. It is a game that I've designed together with my husband Robert with the aim of helping couples have more fun in their relationship and a lot more interesting conversations. The game has a lot of questions that you can ask your partner. It has modifier elements to it that make the game really fun and exciting, and also it has a reward deck from where the winner gets to choose its reward and their partner has to fulfill that. Make sure to check out the game at the link which I will leave in the description box below. Also, for those of you who are not so keen on physical games, we also have our Better Topics app. Make sure again to check the link below and you will see where to find it and how to download it. And now let's get back to the video. Now, in the previous episodes, we have talked about how to show yourself self-love, also how to get straight on your priorities and values in a relationship. Values that you're not willing to give up under any circumstances. Anything else is negotiable. Once you got clear on what your priorities are and values, and also how is it that you like to experience love, the next step is to get clear on what is it exactly that you want to experience in your relationship. Do you want love? Do you want happiness? Do you want passion? Do you want excitement? Do you want lust? Do you want calmness? Do you want to experience playfulness? What is it exactly that you want to experience in your life? Or maybe you want all of the above. That is fine as well. You can include on that list as many things as you want. Because first of all, it is your list. Second of all, there are things that you want to experience. And third of all, really, who's going to put a limit on it? I mean, I understand that, when you start doing your own list, you sometimes might just feel a bit too greedy if you put too many things that you want to experience in your relationship and life. However, I can tell you from my own experience, nobody but yourself is going to limit the things that you experience in your life and your relationship. I remember back in the day when I've done my own list. And the first thing I've actually started with was love, because at that point I was really certain I do want to experience love, and I was very ready and I felt ready inside as well of experiencing more love than I already felt at that point in time. Basically, one of the main reasons for being in a relationship is not to actually find love, but to express the love that we have inside of us. The moment you want to go into a relationship to find love in that relationship because you otherwise don't have it, you give the other person all the power and all the pressure as well of loving you. And if for any reason they might not love you exactly the way you want to be loved, or with that intensity or to that degree, you will then feel unloved and end up being frustrated because that person is not loving you as you think you should be loved. Therefore, if you start by loving yourself first, then when you enter in a relationship, it will be a lot easier and more pleasant to actually share that love and multiply it with your partner rather than just expecting your partner to give you love. Because who knows, your partner might not have any love of their own either. They might come into this relationship seeking for love from you. So then you end up two people in one relationship where both of them want love but none of them have any to give. And obviously both of them will end up very distressed and, well, not happy. And then it starts just a sort of tug of war where you're asking for love, he's asking for love, nobody's giving any love. You feel you need to demand love, they might feel the same. At the end of the day, you will just end up being frustrated and possibly even break up because you didn't felt loved in that relationship. Therefore, if you discover the love inside you and you start loving yourself first, then it is a lot easier when you go into a relationship with another person to actually multiply that love. But that doesn't mean you should just go into a relationship with anyone really just because they might need your love. And this is the point where your priorities and values come into place to help you, to guide you towards the right person for you. And we are going back to the list where you actually put down everything you want to experience in your relationship. I remember when I did my list, I was actually halfway through the list and I thought I'm going to stop there because, you know, I thought maybe I'm asking for too many things, maybe I'm being too greedy, and surely a person with literally everything I wanted cannot really exist, so I'll just, you know, be happy with half of those things. But then I thought about it a bit better and I thought, well, no, I mean, if the phrase that the universe gives you everything you want, you just have to ask for it specifically, then why not just ask for literally everything I want? And then if half of them will come true, I'll be happy with that as well. But at least I know I've asked for literally everything I could think of. And I did, and I've put about 22 things on a list of the things I wanted to experience in my relationship, and more specifically how I wanted my perfect partner to be, and what values to have, and what type of reactions to have in certain situations, how would they behave. But as I said a bit earlier, I've started with the desire of wanting to experience love. And when you do write this list, keep in mind to always write it in the present tense. For example, my partner has this. My partner is behaving in this way. My partner does this regularly. My partner does that. And also, if you find something that you really don't want to experience in your relationship, or something that you would not want your partner to do not write that down, but write the positive side of it. If, for example, your partner swears and you don't like that, then don't say that. Don't say, I don't want my partner to swear, but then change it to the positive of that and say, my partner always uses very nice words and is very kind whenever they speak. Once you got clear on exactly what are the things you want to experience and how you want to be loved and all of that, especially now that you have the experience of how you like to be loved, the next step is to actually go out there and look for that specific person. Now, I'm not saying you should put an ad in a newspaper, unless you really want to. That might work. I don't know. I've never tried it, but who knows, it might work. But put yourself out there. I mean, yes, it might happen for that perfect person to literally land up on your doorstep, but why not help the universe a bit and put yourself out there? I understand during these times when everything is closed and we are very restricted in going or coming from places, it might be a bit more difficult, but there always is the online. I mean, literally 80% of our life now moved to online, work and entertainment wise, and keeping in touch with family and friends as well. It's all done online now, so you might as well try it online. Why not? There are so many platforms out there that you can use. And yes, you might need to kiss a few frogs until you actually find the right one, but hey, you kind of need to do that in real life as well. The difference is that in real life, you do have the physical side of it where you can just scan a person and then move on. Online, obviously, you have to be a bit more careful and it takes a bit more time. But if you're very committed to finding the right person for you, you will definitely put in a bit of effort, go online, and then just start talking to people, really. If you find that the normal dating sites are a bit too much for you, or you really don't like them because, I don't know, maybe you had some bad experience in the past or you've heard weird stories, then why not just go on different type of groups? And there are groups online to do, well, pretty much everything from bird watching to cycling groups that meet up once in a while, book clubs to film clubs, to literally whatever your interest is and wherever you think you would find a partner that is perfect for you, then just join that group and see who's around. Start talking with people, start making friends, and then at some point you will definitely meet the right person. Again, yes, it might take a bit of time and it might not happen straight away, but if you do want something, you have to go and get it, not just sit back and dream about it. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible. It is. It will just take a lot of time. You will just end up frustrated. I don't know if you could actually sit back and dream for that amount of time that it would take for that person to literally drop in front of your doorstep. Again, the time from when you do the list and you meet your partner, it really differs from person to person. For example, after I've got very clear on what I want, what my values were, and I've written down my very specific list, it was about 2 months that I've actually met Robert, who is now my husband. And the circumstances in which we've met were literally so random that even to this day we are still amazed how narrowly we could have missed our meeting. The way it actually happened for us was that 2 months down the line, after I've made my list, I went back home to my parents' city because I had to attend one of my cousin's wedding. And my mom and a couple of my aunties, they had lined up quite a few boys for me to meet, you know, because maybe I like one of them and they'll like me and then we'll be together and all of that. Because at that point I was towards my late 20s and my family starting, you know, freaking out that I might never marry. But then I had a list and I knew exactly what I wanted, and I was not willing to settle for anything less but what was on that list. So I went to the wedding, I met these people, they were like, okay-ish, but most of them didn't even have half of the requirements. Like even the basic ones that I said, okay, I cannot really live without these few requirements. They didn't even have those, so, you know. So we came back from the wedding, I didn't really like any of them. My mom was already desperate by this point. My aunties were going mad at this point because I don't like anyone and I'll end up being an old spinster, as they used to call it. They were saying that I have too many pretensions from, well, pretty much everyone I meet. But I still kept my list in my mind and I wasn't willing to settle for anything less. After a couple of days, our Wi-Fi broke down in our house and obviously I couldn't fix it, but as it happens, we all have that one IT friend who can help us out. So I called my IT friend and I said, listen, I have problems with the Wi-Fi, I need help and all of that. And he did say, he's like, look, I cannot really come because I'm so busy and then I'm going away and all of this. But he said he had a friend who might be able to help me if he's free. So he called that friend and he sent his friend over to help me with my Wi-Fi. And guess what? That friend was Robert. Now 3 hours later, the Wi-Fi was still not fixed. He couldn't really understand what was happening with it because I was certain that the cable, you know, was fine because it was almost brand new. So he was starting to see whether the software is the problem. So he was like fiddling about with it for like 3 hours and then he left, promising he'll come back the next day and try to fix it then. And I remember to this day, when he walked out of the house then, my dad looked at me and he said, you know, I think this Wi-Fi needs to be fixed tomorrow as well for another 3 hours at least. Which now in hindsight was quite funny because, well, he did came back the next day and then we ended up going out, and then a few years later here we are married. And once we started going out, I realized that he literally met all the criteria on my list. All of them. Because I keep telling him many times he has everything I wanted and more, because he still has so many other qualities that I've never even thought of, but I did notice in him since we've been together. So you see, because I got very clear on what is it that I want, and I was not willing to compromise any of my main requirements, I ended up finding the right person for me. Now, I'm not saying that you will also meet your partner within 2 months. Maybe it will take 3, maybe 6 months. Who knows? Maybe a year. I hope not, but maybe a year. At least you will know that you have not compromised, for especially for stuff that you're not willing to compromise and things that are very important to you. And trust me, it doesn't really matter what your family, friends, parents say or everyone around you. They tell you a lot of stuff just to get you going with something or just to, you know, settle down already. But at the end of the day, it is still your choice. And you have to be very wise in taking that choice, because you will be the one living with that person, not your parents, not your friends, not your family. I mean, I understand it's okay to listen to some advice, especially from your parents or very close friends who you know for certain they have your best interest at heart. Because, you know, especially if they went through stuff, they would maybe try to help you not to go through the same type of stuff that they went through. But at the end of the day, the choice is with you. And how can you take the right choice if not first by knowing exactly what is it that you want? Because once you know what you want, you definitely know what you don't want. So you can weed out a lot of people very easily. And I know it seems a bit too cerebral and like no emotion is there. But trust me, once you meet that person who actually has all the requirements and values that you want in your life, passion will be there. A lot of positive feelings and a lot of love will straight away be there. I mean, I remember when I've met my husband, it was literally like in movies, you know, when people just look at each other and, you know, they fall in love. I felt exactly like that. And the more he was talking, the more he was telling me about his life, his values and everything, I was just falling more and more in love with him. Therefore, although it might seem a bit like cold-hearted thinking about this, and because you want stuff. Now, when I say you want stuff and you put things on your list, I don't mean actual physical things. I don't mean for you to put things like, oh, I want a yacht, a car, a bank account from him, or all that stuff. No, I mean what type of values and characteristics you want that person to have. And if you want them to be wealthy as well, why not? Put that on the list. Who's gonna stop you? And the reason why I'm saying this is because even if, let's say, you would fall in love with someone who doesn't meet maybe just half of the criteria you have on the list, eventually you will still end up arguing a lot more because they don't feel the other ones, which are still important to you. You will just end up having a lot of really unnecessary arguments that you can actually avoid if you do your list correctly and if you stick to it and don't compromise. I mean, I know friends of mine who've done the list and they have found their perfect partner. They are very happy to this day because they have not compromised on anything on that list. They still had everything they wanted, all the important values for them, all the important characteristics in a person for them. And years later, yes, although they might have arguments here and there, they have a lot less compared to people who really didn't mind about any of the characteristics or values their partner might have or not have. You can look at this as an act of self-love, really, because if you really truly love yourself, you will not just go out there and choose a random partner just because, I don't know, they looked at you twice, but you will end up choosing the perfect partner with you, with whom you can again multiply the love you already have. Let me know in the comments below what are 3 of your main values that you're not willing to give up. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends.